Across America, millions of like-new R-vees just got dumped for pennies. And the footage is insane. Rows of nearly new rigs, engines cold, lights still on, now labeled refund liquidation. Dealers are panicking, lenders are freezing lines, and the refund wave is only getting bigger. How did we go from record RVE sales to refund chaos overnight? And who's really behind the buyback meltdown sweeping the industry? Because this isn't a story about discounts, it's about disaster. And if you own an RV, or you've been waiting to buy one, what happens next could hit a lot closer to home than you think. 3 million refunds. Hit the road today. Dealers across America just dumped $120 million worth of nearly new RVs in a single week, not as a sale, as a surrender. Rows of gleaming rigs, some with paper plates still attached, now sit under auction lights tagged refund return. If you think that sounds exaggerated, it isn't. The first internal bulletin leaked from a major Indiana dealer network confirms a refund liquidation protocol issued after an unprecedented wave of buyback demands hit manufacturers in late September 2025. The bulletin lists 3,400 units already cleared for disposal, mostly Class A and Class C models less than 1 year old. VN tags were redacted, but regional auction partners were clearly named. Mannheim Specialty and ADESA Midwest both confirmed a sudden jump in manufacturer buyback lots. That means what's sitting on those lots right now isn't damaged or repossessed. It's refunded, fully paid out to owners demanding their money back. These are rigs that once sold for more than $100,000, now listed for under $20, and the next 30 days could decide whether you lose thousands or walk away lucky. The question is, what triggered millions of refunds all at once? The answer starts with the filings themselves, the refund filings. By early October, warranty refund claims across the top 5 RV brands spiked by 43%, compared with the same quarter in 2024. A leaked warranty dashboard from a supplier in Elkhart, Indiana, shows refund tickets stacked under a new internal category labeled Consumer Defect Retraction. Every submission carried timestamps within a 4-week window. That's not a slowdown, that's a floodgate opening. Technicians say the pattern began with recurring quality complaints, slide-outs jamming, electronic leveling failures, and water intrusion issues. But what made this wave different wasn't the number of problems, it was the speed of refund approvals. After several state attorneys general investigated delayed warranty reimbursements, manufacturers quietly expanded refund options to avoid lawsuits. The result? Hundreds of owners suddenly qualified for full or partial buybacks. By the second week of October, refund documents began circulating online. You can still see photos of redacted VN sheets on RV trader forums, stamped "refund cleared" in red ink. Dealers didn't leak those, owners did, furious that resale values cratered before they could even relist their rigs privately. Every claim became another physical unit sent back to storage yards. And those VINs didn't vanish. They're parked right now, waiting for the next phase of liquidation. The paperwork proves the flood exists, but you won't believe what happened when those refund rigs hit the auctions. If you've seen refund rigs piling up near you, hit the like button right now and drop a comment with your state. Every report helps us map this crash in real time and shows where the next markdowns hit first. The auction rush. At wholesale sites in Texas, Indiana, and Florida, refund rigs now dominate the early morning lanes. A producer from RV Insider filmed an entire row of 2024 models marked Manufacturer Buyback in bold red tape. On-screen price boards show numbers that make no financial sense. $129,995 down to $15,800 within 2 rounds of bidding. That's an 88% drop in less than 60 seconds. Mannheim's internal data, verified by 2 independent brokers, lists a record clearance rate of 92% for refund lots last week, the highest since the post-pandemic liquidation of 2022. Buyers describe the experience as chaotic. Units roll across the block with pristine interiors and 0 reported damage. Some still have factory stickers. The reason for the panic is timing. Refund inventory doesn't trickle in, it crashes in. Lenders freeze credit on unsold lots, forcing dealers to dump fresh arrivals before the next billing cycle. Every hammer strike lowers the national resale baseline, dragging private sellers down with it. So when you see a luxury Class A priced like a compact trailer, understand? It's not a miracle deal. It's fallout from a refund avalanche. Auctions show the visible collapse, but behind those flashing lights lies the dealer's real nightmare, their own financing. The dealer backfire. Inside the dealership network, the refund wave has become a financial virus. Floor plan financing, the system that lets dealers stock inventory on borrowed money, works only when each sale clears its own loan. But refunded units don't count as sales. They return as liabilities. Each one accrues daily interest until moved off the books. Dealers across Ohio and Indiana report floor plan rates climbing to 8.7%, almost double last year's average. On a $100,000 coach, that's nearly $24 in interest every single day. Multiply that by dozens of refund rigs, and a small dealer bleeds thousands before the month ends. To stay solvent, many are shipping like-new units straight to liquidation partners, sometimes accepting bids 30% below their cost. One Midwest dealership posted a closed-door clearance event with handwritten signs reading, "Refund inventory, cash only." Within hours, the lot was empty, but the owner admitted it barely covered his interest obligations. The domino effect spreads fast. Once lenders flag too many slow-moving refunds, they pull credit lines entirely. Without credit, dealers can't restock or repair. That's why this isn't just a sales slump, it's a structural choke point. If dealers are this desperate, one question remains. Who's still buying, and what do they know that you don't? What looks like chaos today began as euphoria. The same force that built the empire is the one now tearing it apart. The pandemic boom seed. The collapse started long before the refunds ever hit the auctions. During the lockdowns of 2020 and 2021, Americans chased the illusion of safe travel and self-contained freedom. Stimulus checks and 0% financing turned highways into escape routes. Dealers sold out of everything on wheels, and manufacturers raced to meet demand. By May 2025, total R-V shipments were up 11.8% year-over-year, the highest in recorded history. Production lines that once ran single shifts now operated around the clock, building inventory for buyers who no longer existed. Factories borrowed heavily to expand, assuming the boom would last forever. Small suppliers doubled their payrolls, adding second shifts in Indiana, Texas, and Oregon. Every spreadsheet screamed confidence. But demand based on crisis spending isn't demand at all. It's adrenaline. When travel costs spiked and rates rose, families who stretched their budgets for a $100,000 rig started canceling orders or demanding refunds. Those cancellations didn't just reduce revenue, they reversed it. The same production lines that printed profit in 2021 became conveyor belts for debt. The so-called golden era of mobility wasn't a revolution. It was a credit binge disguised as freedom. That boom planted the refund bomb. To understand how the explosion spread, follow the money that financed it. The financing trap. Every dealer lives on borrowed air called floor plan credit. It's the revolving loan that lets them keep shiny inventory on the lot until a sale clears the balance. During the boom, interest hovered near 3%, almost free money. Dealers ordered hundreds of units, confident each new delivery would sell before the next statement arrived. But when the Federal Reserve pushed rates upward through 2024 and 2025, that lifeline tightened into a noose. By the first quarter of 2025, the average floor plan rate hit 8%. That means every unsold R-V, even one sitting pristine on a display pad, costs about $47 per day in interest alone. Multiply that by 100 units, and a slow month drains $140,000 just in carrying cost. For a family-owned dealership, that's fatal. Lenders, fearing defaults, demanded larger cash reserves and collateral audits. Those audits revealed rows of refund units still unsold and therefore ineligible for financing renewal. Within weeks, some credit lines were frozen entirely. Dealers who once borrowed millions were suddenly told to pay up or liquidate. When lenders blink, the refund wave doubles. With financing collapsing, another force took over. Refund requests driven by anger, defects, and desperation. The refund loop. By midsummer, refund claims were no longer isolated cases. They became an industry feedback loop. Owners frustrated by recurring failures found that refund approvals were being processed faster than repairs. Slide-outs jammed, roofs leaked, and new electronic control modules glitched under heat. The more units returned, the higher the backlog grew, creating a cycle of dissatisfaction that fed itself. Then came the legal spark. In late July, a class action lawsuit filed in Arizona alleged systematic warranty deception by a major RV manufacturer. The complaint claimed that hundreds of customers had been promised repairs that never materialized. Within 2 weeks, rival brands quietly expanded refund programs to preempt their own litigation. Thousands of buyers seized the chance to surrender rigs that had already lost half their value. Each refund triggered another logistical crisis. Transport trucks that once delivered new inventory began hauling buybacks back to regional hubs. Storage yards overflowed. Accounting departments processed refunds while still carrying the same units as assets. The system began to eat itself, a closed loop of losses disguised as customer service. The paperwork that was never meant to leak started appearing everywhere. And once the public saw those documents, the private crisis became a national spectacle. The leak that proved everything. It started with a handful of smartphone photos, VIN tags lined up under a Texas sunset, all stamped refund return. Within hours, those images went viral on Reddit and Facebook groups devoted to RV life. Comment sections filled with disbelief. Some accused owners of staging the shots, until cross-checking VIN numbers on auction listings confirmed they were real. One journalist traced over 200 refund units parked in a single Dallas area yard. Another found identical models listed on RV Trader for barely $15,000, each carrying the note, "Manufacturer repurchase." Manufacturers scrambled to contain the optics, issuing statements about temporary redistribution of inventory. But that phrasing fooled no one. Refund yards appeared in Florida, Indiana, and California within the week. Satellite images showed lots expanding overnight like crop fields of fiberglass and chrome. Proof is now public, the numbers undeniable, but the people paying for it aren't the ones on Wall Street. They're the ones who built and sold the dream. When the truth went public, it didn't just expose the companies, it exposed the people trapped inside. From factory floors to auction blocks, the human cost was about to surface. Factory silence. In northern Indiana, silence has replaced the steady hum of drills and welders. The same factories that once defined the heartbeat of America's RV industry now stand half-lit, echoing with memories of overtime shifts and radio chatter. Warn notices, worker adjustment and retraining notification letters arrived by the hundreds in Elkhart and Goshen during the final quarter of 2025. Each one told a similar story, temporary layoffs that quietly turned permanent. Suppliers who built cabinets, axles, and windows lost contracts overnight as refund returns erased future orders. Local diners that once opened at 5 a.m. for line workers now close before noon. Gas stations near factory gates stand empty. Families who once thrived on piecework wages are applying for unemployment for the first time in decades. Yet outside those shuttered bays, truck convoys still roll past, hauling refund rigs to distant auctions. The production lines stopped, but the refunds didn't. That contrast defines the human cost. Communities built to manufacture dreams now transport their remains. The collapse here isn't theoretical. It's visible in darkened cafeterias, silent assembly floors, and pay stubs that end midweek. As the factories go quiet, the sound that replaces them is the auctioneer's chant, where the real value of the crash gets measured. Reading the lanes. At sunrise in Texas and Indiana, long rows of refund rigs gleam under fluorescent lights. Auction day starts early. Transporters unload units polished to perfection. But beneath the wax lies panic. The chant of the auctioneer cuts through the air, numbers rising and falling faster than dealers can blink. Last year, clearance rates averaged 80%. This month, they hover near 63%. Every unsold unit adds pressure. Every low bid rewrites the national price chart. Some walk the rows like surgeons, tapping panels, checking odometers, and scanning QR codes linked to refund documents. The drama isn't just in the bidding, it's in the faces. Dealers whisper about lines of credit shrinking, while independent buyers whisper about their next flip. When the hammer falls, cheers echo briefly, but the tension doesn't break. A 2024 Class C that cost $110,000 last spring now sells for $38,000. The math is cruel but clear. The new price of freedom is liquidation value. Auctions don't lie. They expose everything that marketing hides. Numbers don't lie, fear does. But not every unit reaching those lanes comes willingly. Some are dragged there, chained by default instead of defect. The repo crossover. By late summer, transport trucks from bank recovery divisions join the refund convoys. The visual difference is subtle, a white barcode sticker instead of a manufacturer tag. But the story is harsher. Owners who financed during the low-rate boom now face loan payments they can't sustain. Rising interest rates, shrinking resale values, and job losses turned small delinquencies into repossession orders. Lenders, already overloaded with refund stock, fast-track repos to salvage whatever equity remains. In a single week, one major credit union in Florida recovered over 300 R-vees. Half of them less than 2 years old. The paperwork lists them as consumer default liquidation, a polite term for financial collapse on wheels. Dealers receive them alongside refund returns, blending voluntary and involuntary losses into one overwhelming supply chain of desperation. Photographs from transport yards tell the truth. Gleaming rigs chained to flatbeds, still carrying family decals and half-filled propane tanks. These were homes, dreams, investments of time and hope. Now they're just inventory. Not every refund is voluntary, and not every repo is caused by negligence. Sometimes people did everything right, and the market still erased them. And while lenders clear their ledgers, another threat is sneaking into the market, dressed up to look brand new. Before you go, hit subscribe and turn on alerts. We're tracking the refund flood week by week. VINs, prices, and hidden dealer liquidations. Don't wait for headlines to catch up. Stay ahead and know when the next price wave breaks. Zombie R-vees exposed. They shine under showroom lights, smelling faintly of lemon polish and fresh sealant. But some of these rigs should have been scrapped, not sold. Across the flooded market, thousands of R-vees damaged by storms or fires have been quietly revived through tidal washing, a process that hides their salvage history. When the refund flood began, opportunistic brokers bought wrecked or waterlogged units at pennies on the dollar, replaced panels and decals, and reissued them with clean paperwork. Moisture sensors and thermal cameras reveal the truth. Under perfect flooring, insulation drips. Behind glossy cabinetry, corrosion creeps. One hidden leak can turn a $70,000 rig into a rolling hazard. Smart buyers now bring handheld moisture meters and run VIN checks through the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System before signing. A legitimate refund unit will show manufacturer repurchase. A zombie R-vee will show nothing, and that's the red flag. Every crash invites scavengers, and this market is no exception. The difference between a bargain and a trap is verification. Before you chase a deal, chase the data, because amid this chaos, opportunity still exists, but only for those who know how to separate the living deals from the dead ones. Real numbers, real deals. In a collapsing market, math becomes the only truth left standing. The flood of refunds has pushed prices to levels unseen in 2 decades, and the difference between fantasy and fact now decides who wins. According to recent auction data, rigs once listed at $120,000 are clearing for barely $18,000. Retailers who once whispered about clearance pricing are now advertising open losses just to move inventory before another interest cycle begins. This isn't rumor, it's arithmetic. Sites like JD Power and Black Book track those wholesale prices daily. The real numbers don't lie. A fifth-wheel trailer valued at $65,000 last year now trades near $42,000. Some models dip lower every week. The refund dump has turned the industry's mirrors around. Everyone can now see exactly what their rig is truly worth and what happens when hype meets economics. But knowing what it's worth is useless unless you know when to strike. Timing the crash. Markets move in seasons, and the R-vee collapse is no different. Every year, 2 windows open for buyers who understand timing better than emotion. The first arrives in late winter, when dealers slash inventory to escape floor plan costs before spring audits. The second comes in early autumn, right after next year's models appear, making current year stock radioactive overnight. History proves it. During the 2022 downturn, prices dropped an additional 12% in February and another 9% in September before stabilizing. Right now, we're watching the same rhythm return. Dealers in Indiana and Florida are already marking refund stock as must move before tax filings. Watch for phrases like age units, limited hold, or interest rebate. They're quiet codes for panic. The disciplined buyer waits until those terms appear, then moves fast. Because when the tide turns, it won't turn gently. Once lenders reset rates or stimulus programs reappear, the easy steals vanish overnight. Timing doesn't demand luck, it demands patience and observation. The wave rewards those who wait for silence before they bid. The clock decides who wins. And once you find that perfect moment, you'll need the math to make your move without getting burned. Offer math and verification. Negotiation isn't about charm. It's about precision. Start with the wholesale benchmark, subtract known repairs, and reserve 10% for unknowns. That formula turns emotion into armor. For example, if a similar 2024 model sold last week for $40,000 at auction and the one you want shows minor water damage, your ceiling should hover near $36,000. Speak in numbers, not hope. Dealers recognize confidence in decimals. Verification protects that math. Always cross-check the VIN through the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System to confirm manufacturer repurchase status. Insist on documentation for every claimed repair and run a moisture test along base seams and slide-outs. One soft patch can turn a bargain into a disaster. Ask for a written, out-the-door price with every tax and fee listed. No surprises, no assumptions. The louder the salesperson pushes urgency, the stronger your math becomes. This is how you convert a panic market into profit. But even the best math means nothing if you sign the wrong paper or miss the next signal forming just beyond the horizon. The future they can't control. The refund flood isn't ending, it's evolving. Analysts tracking transport data see another wave building for the first quarter of 2026 as deferred loans mature and manufacturers face second-round recalls. That means more refund rigs, deeper markdowns, and another cycle of credit tightening. The industry that once bragged about innovation is now built on liquidation. Yet within that chaos lies the chance for smarter ownership. The only players without control are those pretending the crash is temporary. It's not. The market will recover, but only after it resets the illusion that R-vees always appreciate. They don't. They depreciate violently and predictably. The future of this market isn't in their control. It's in yours, if you're watching closely enough to act before the next siren sounds. Hit like if this opened your eyes, subscribe for weekly updates, and stay sharp, because the R-V crash isn't over yet.